Hello, my name is Samantha Clark, and today we will be doing a tour of the Common Core State Standards website at corestandards.org. We will be doing a tour specifically of the English Language Arts standards. I'd like to begin by discussing the purpose of the standards is so that all students across the country are prepared for college, career, and life. This requires having critical thinking skills, problem-solving skills, and analytical skills. And we want to make sure that all students across the board are prepared for these areas of life with these skills. So first we're going to look at the introduction. And specifically, we are going to talk about college and career readiness and reading, writing, speaking, listening, and language. So students who are prepared for college and careers will be able to demonstrate independence, build strong content knowledge, respond to varying demands of audience, task, purpose, and discipline in various medias while reading, writing, speaking, and listening. They will be able to comprehend and critique these pieces. They will value evidence when arguing and viewing arguments. And they will be able to use technology and digital media strategically and capably. And they come to understand the perspectives of all cultures and peoples of diverse backgrounds. So those are the overarching ideas of the Common Core standards. The anchor standards, which we can see on this side of the screen, are standards that evaluate students of all grades. So if we start with reading, these standards don't specify specific expectations by grade level. They simply discuss what all students should be able to do. And so in reading, they will be able to find key ideas and details, craft and structure, and they will be able to integrate knowledge and ideas from various texts. And they will read a various range of texts. Now, to specifically point something out before we move on, if we go to Appendix B, we can find the specific texts expected for our students. These aren't necessarily guidelines, but they fit the standards. So I'm going to specifically look at 11th grade because those are the students that I am working with. So on page 11, you see that we have large variety of texts from different genres and different authors listed here, and short stories from different arts. All right, now to go back to the standards. Next, we will be looking at the anchor standards for writing. Now for writing, this is often responding to these texts that our students are reading. They will be able to analyze text types and purposes. They will be able to produce and distribute writing using technology in clear ways. They will be able to research and build present knowledge. And like the range of reading, students will be able to write in extended time frames as well in shorter time frames for a range of tasks, purposes, and audiences. Next, we will be looking at listening. Very similar structure with all of these anchor standards. Students will be able to comprehend and collaborate with other students for speaking and listening. So this isn't necessarily just presenting. Presentation of knowledge and ideas. For the parts that are presenting, they will be able to use various media and presentation skills and adapt to various contexts for different communicative tasks. And last, for the anchored standards, we have readiness for language. Now, language involves the conventions of English, knowledge of language, being able to use varied vocabulary, structures, punctuation, types of language, styles of language, and they will be able to have a range of academic and domain-specific words and phrases sufficient for reading, writing, speaking, and listening at college and career readiness level. So if we are looking at grade 11, which is the class I am in, we have specific standards for each of these grades. So we see these anchored standards, but we also see the specific expectations for 11th graders. While younger students may not be expected to include words with multiple meanings or language that is particularly fresh, engaging, or beautiful, our students will be able to read Shakespeare and understand it. And this continues throughout multiple sections, specifically what genres that students should be able to read by this level. And this continues on to informational texts. So we see that it's not just literature that our students are reading, it's also informational texts. The foundational skills are mostly for younger students, but as we will see later on, some of our students of high need may need to go back to these foundational skills. So once again, these are the specific standards and expectations for our 11th graders. Analyze a complex set of ideas and sequence of events, rather than less complex ideas for lower grades. And they will again be able to integrate the knowledge and ideas and have a range of reading and level of text complexity. Now we also will see these foundational skills, see how it goes only to grade 5 here. If we look at writing, we will see grade 11. And again, the very specific standards for our students here. We see 11 through 12, 1A here under our anchor standard. And these continue throughout speaking and listening. These students will be able to come to discussions and talk with their classmates about these complex ideas and present their own ideas. And their language needs to be much more advanced by this point. And they will have a vast knowledge of language and advanced vocabulary use as they prepare for the SATs in this grade. So language progressive skills, as I discussed earlier, some students may need to come back to these skills. As we see, we have grade 11, 12, but some students may need to revisit the standards for language from younger areas, which is fine. All of our students come from various backgrounds and contexts in which they were learning. So we want to assure that every one of our students of all ability and backgrounds are on par with the standards by preparing them in the areas that they may not have been shown beforehand. A very important one to notice is that we have history, social sciences, science and technical subjects. And we have this because we are expected to introduce our students to these kinds of texts so that they are able to do the same things they do in our literature and informative texts, but with literature and pieces of text that are historical or scientific or technical subjects. We are the language support for our students so that they will be able to proficiently express ideas in other classes. While that is also on the job of those teachers, we are teaching them the English language arts of all varieties. Now to continue on to the appendixes, I showed you the Appendix B of our suggested readings, but the other appendixes will show you the specific literacy standards for these subjects that we just discussed. And there are a variety of resources here for teachers to use in order to teach their students about these areas. This is about choosing which texts we will teach our students. And all of these can be found on the Common Core Standards website for use as we learn to teach and as we teach. Thank you so much.